Hi there! If you want to know how to make a pencil skirt out of latex, this video is for you. Now, for a very simple latex skirt, you would need just 3 horizontal measurements and 2 vertical measurements. You need to know your waist circumference, the widest part of your hips, and the hem circumference. You also need to know how far apart your widest part is from your waistline and how long you want your skirt to be. Since latex is stretchy and usually worn skin tight, you would need to subtract an inch or 2 from your horizontal measurements. You can then draw one pattern and cut 2 identical pieces of latex that you would glue together from the side seams. If you're using thin latex, you might be able to get in the skirt without a zipper. But if you want to add a zipper, you would cut a slit for it in the back or add it in the side seam. I have a zipper tutorial on my channel if you want to know more about adding zippers to latex. In this video, we will be making a pencil skirt with a wide waistband that dips down at the back. For the waistband, we need some extra measurements. We need to decide where the waistband ends, where does it dip down, and how high up does it curve. You can do this by measuring yourself with a tape measure. Make sure to keep the tape measure straight and stand in a neutral position to get accurate measurements. Once you have your measurements, it's time to subtract an inch or more from your measurements so that we would end up with a skin-hugging skirt. How much you should subtract is dependent on the thickness of your latex. Thinner latex stretches more, so you might want to subtract a lot more than an inch. It also depends on your body type, as some of us might have more soft tissue that compresses more under tight clothing. Once you have done your subtraction, divide the horizontal measurements by 2. Now we have the measurements ready for our patterns. Then we can draw our patterns using the measurements. I'm drawing the pattern on some crafting paper that you can buy from a craft store. I'm starting with the back side of the dress first by marking the length and the widest part and finding the center. Then using the rest of the measurements, I start drawing the waistband. You can use the ruler to draw lines from point A to point B and then round out any harsh angles. You can also use a tailor's ruler or round objects to draw curves. You would then draw the pattern to the front side of the skirt, which you can trace from the back side and modify according to your measurements. You would then add half an inch to the side seams and cut the waistband pattern from the skirt pattern. I will be using 2 types of latex in this project. For the skirt part, I'm using 0.5mm latex, and for the waistband, I'm using 1mm latex. I'm placing the waistband patterns on the thicker latex and using glass fabric weights to keep them in place. I then trace the patterns on the latex with a white gel pen and cut them out with a rotary cutter. I'm placing the skirt patterns on the thinner latex and adding half an inch to the top of the pattern where I want to attach the waistband. I do this for both sides. Once we have cut out our pieces, we need to clean the seams before gluing. For that, we need solvent-resistant gloves, lint-free rags, and solvent. When working with solvents, do it in a well-ventilated area and away from any fire sources. Start applying the solvent with a rag on the parts that you will be attaching to each other. You want to rub the latex as you go. This will allow the glue to grab the latex better. I'm cleaning the bottom of the waistband from the back side and the top of the skirt from the right side, as these 2 seams will be adhered to each other. You then need to decide which side you want to overlap the other at the side seam and clean the seams accordingly. I then added the zipper to the waistband. If you want to know how I did this, check out my zipper tutorial on my channel. Next, I used some painter's tape to keep the latex from curling before applying the glue. I applied glue on the right side of the skirt piece and at the back side of the waistband and placed the waistband on top of the skirt part. Then I applied pressure to secure the seam. I did the same for the front part of the skirt as well, and don't worry if your layers don't align perfectly. You can always trim the excess with a rotary cutter. Once the front and the back pieces are ready, I start gluing the side seams. If your seams are curvy, you need to stretch the top layer a bit to accommodate the curve. Gluing long seams is difficult, and the only way you can get better at it is practice. I actually ended up re-gluing the seams because I wasn't happy with how they first turned out. I even tore my skirt in the process, but luckily I was able to fix it. I will make a video of it so you can see how I fixed it, but the bottom line is that whenever you start working with something new, there's a learning curve to it and you shouldn't be discouraged by small mistakes. Once your seams are glued, you're done. Let the glue cure for 24 hours before putting the skirt on, or otherwise you might end up tearing a seam. After 24 hours, you can wash your skirt with dishwashing soap, polish it, and your skirt is ready to be worn. I'm really happy with how this skirt turned out, and I hope you enjoyed following the process. If you found this video helpful, give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more crafting videos. Thank you for watching and happy crafting!